Hey everyone, I'm curious. Where are you watching this from? Drop a comment and let me know how far this story reaches. Now let me share with you a story that completely changed someone's life. It's now the beginning of September, and this happened on Mother's Day earlier this year. For the story to have proper context, I need to take you back to 2.5 years ago. My wife, 27F, and I, 26M, had been struggling in our marriage. We had just moved across the country to a new city. This city is one of the most violent places in America, and me, being from the rural Midwest, I struggled a lot with my mental health upon arriving here, specifically with anxiety. My mental health put stress on our marriage. On top of her stress as being a graduate student going for her PhD. As part of her PhD, she was required to go to a remote area on the planet, trying to be vague, for 3.5 months. In that 3.5 months, our communication was limited to one Zoom call a week. It was hard on me. We had always been together since I was 18 and a freshman in college. On top of being in a place that ramped up my anxiety, she left for said remote place in October and came back in February. The first time I knew she cheated was when she got home. And the first time we were being intimate, she asked me for things that were out of left field compared to what we used to do. We did not have a vanilla intimate life at all, so these requests she made really made me question what she was up to when she was away. Later that night, I sat her down and asked her point blank if she had cheated on me, because of how out of left field these requests were. She told me she didn't cheat. She explained to me that while she was gone, she had been following a guy online that talked about ways to spice up intimacy, and she wanted to try them. I trusted my wife, and she showed me the guy online that she said she was talking about. So at the time, it made sense, and I loved and trusted my wife. Talk about some love glasses covering my eyes. Fast forward to April of this year. Over the past 2 years, I've learned ways to cope with the anxiety that this place brings me, and I thought our marriage had been doing better. We hardly argued. Intimate life wasn't as frequent as I'd like, but it was still often enough, and I thought we were doing good. We had gotten past the hard couple years, and we were doing better. My best friend from high school, let's call him Dave, 26 million, is getting married to his long-term partner back near my hometown in the Midwest. We take a trip out there for the wedding and visit my family. While we are at the wedding, my wife meets, let's call him Frank, 28 million, who was Dave's good friend during college. And as they had similar interests in music, they started conversing about that. As this is a small rural wedding, there isn't a whole lot of people, and I can see that my wife is talking to Frank. I go up and introduce myself as the husband, and he seemed like a chill guy. They talked off and on during the reception whenever new music was being played. Then we left, and I drove to our hotel that we had a couple hours away as we were flying out in the morning. About a week later, we are back home, and I walk into the kitchen to get a glass of water, and I see that she has a Snapchat from Frank. I thought that was strange, but she said they were just friends, and again, I loved and trusted my wife, so I believed her. Mother's Day morning, it is a regular day. No issues, arguments in the last few months. We were intimate that morning, and then she left for lunch with her family as her grandma, and her dad lived relatively close, but I was asked not to go. Again, I thought it was weird, but her father and I never really got along, so I played it off as he didn't want me to go, or she wanted just a family lunch with her dad and grandma. My wife gets home from that lunch, says that we need to talk, and just hit me with, I want a divorce, so I'm not happy. My world shattered. I spend the next 20 to 30 minutes trying to convince her to try marriage counseling, trial separation, but nothing is working. I eventually said, whatever is going on, we can fix it unless you've cheated. That's always been a hard line for me. I don't do cheating. When the trust is gone, it's gone in my eyes. You can't come back from that. My wife proceeds to start hysterically bawling her eyes out in front of me, and I knew. I knew in that moment that she had cheated. Now I just wanted to know how bad it actually was. It turns out I was right to question the new intimate things when she had gotten back from her remote trip. But not only that, she had been intimate with a few other people in that 2 years time span. That floored me again. I was the sole provider of our household. She was a grad student that had next to no income. So what she had done is my wife knew she was done with our marriage when she came back from her remote trip. However, instead of leaving and getting a divorce then, She stayed for another 2 years so she could live a more comfortable life and have a nicer car. The lease is under my name, so I asked her to pack a bag and leave. I went out to my car, drove to a parking lot not too far away from my house, and it all hit me. I don't think I have ever cried like that before in my entire life. Mid-cry, I get a call from my brother, reminding me to call my mom for Mother's Day, and as soon as he heard me sobbing like that, he got off the phone and called my dad. My dad then calls me and I explained to him everything that happened, and saying it out loud to another person just made it all worse. Eventually, I gathered myself, went home. My wife was gone. She had packed a bag and left as I'd asked her to. Fast forward 2 weeks. I had spoken with my boss about taking a leave of absence, and I went back to my family in the Midwest for a few weeks to gather myself and figure out who I was, outside of being married to my wife. It was at this time that I found out that my wife and Frank were sleeping together. Not only that, but within a week of everything happening, she had caught a plane to the Midwest, where Frank is from, and had been sleeping with him and posting him all over her social media. I loved my wife so deeply that this hurt me to my core. Fast forward to today. I am doing much better now than I was previously. I still have days where I'm so hurt that it feels like I can't breathe, but most days I'm doing okay. We agreed to an amicable divorce where I left her car, and the money we had in our bank, as long as she didn't touch my retirement account. I started over financially, and it's been a process, but I'm finally becoming stable again. We didn't have any kids as we were waiting for her to finish grad school, and I thank God for that now. The divorce isn't quite final yet, but we are just waiting for the courts to do their thing. I accepted a new job back in the Midwest, a city about 2.5 hours from my family, and I did this to get a fresh start. I've been in this violent city now for 3.5 years, and it's just been the worst time of my life between my anxiety and this divorce. I know I wasn't always the best husband on the planet, but I never stopped trying to better myself for her. I never lied, cheated, or was violent with my now ex in the 8.5 years we were together. The reason I wrote this is I felt it would help bring me closure on everything that has happened, and to ask you all, if anyone's been through something similar, how did you learn to trust again? My biggest goal in life is to be a dad. It's something I've always wanted, but each time I try to talk to someone new, all I think about is, how is this new woman going to fuck me over? I've been in therapy since the divorce was initiated, and it's helped with everything except this. If there are any details anyone thinks I glossed over, I will try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. If you've been through something like this, how did you learn to trust again? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this story helpful or relatable, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.